Are the events getting bigger, or are we just noticing more about the comets, the volcanoes, the floods, the lightning, the hail, the sun, the magnetic field, all changing our planet? Taking over to Russia, the floods coming in through the windows is not something you want to see. Starting off with your morning coffee. Lagos, Nigeria, the highway divider becomes the new river and drainage ways. Space debris ripping through the sky. We're going to see a lot more of this as these Starlink satellites come down. Again, our magnetic field is in a collapse phase, so we're going to see a lot of objects coming through. And at the same time, with a weakening magnetic field, the aurora are going to get more intense with different colorations lower in the atmosphere. So you start to see everything from the earthquakes increasing to the intensity of the eruptions. Kilauea, they're saying it's at least 500 foot tall on the fountain, went along for a good 5 to 6 hours with this pressure before it abated, even longer with smaller pressures. Lightning hitting into our cities of this magnitude. This is in Pakistan, a very dry area on the planet, except for the monsoon. Now, this type of thunder and frequency of lightning, kind of rare. I'm going to say kind of rare. Seeing how this was in a periphery desert area. So then you need to ask yourself, are these events becoming more intense, or is there just social media to capture them? Because I don't remember ever seeing where the roadways in Nigeria itself turned into the new rivers on the highways. I've seen a lot of flooding outside, where a lot of villages, because there's that used to be an estuary, that area there. If you look back some 6,000 years, they domesticated millet in that area. It was that wet and verdant to change over and crossbreed grass species. Lakes, they were doing trade by boat all the way through central, what you consider northern Africa now. So these areas are refilling and they're starting to flood where the villages had followed the water down. The intensity of the lightning seems to be increasing. That goes along with the magnetic field declines, right along with what we see with volcanism and tectonic activity increasing. Sun's coming off solar maximum. We're heading down, so we're going to step down in that. There's going to be some cascades. So what is it about everything we're seeing? Is it really more intense, or is there just more cameras out there to capture it? Because we're going to see 5 naked eye comets here in the skies. Now, this at the bottom is 3i Atlas. The green in the top is Swan R2 2025, the one with the really long tail that they just sighted last week or so. The comet's path. Now, here's what's interesting about Swan. They've done the orbital trajectory on it. 22,554 years, which is rather close to the Great Year, 25,750 years. So this thing coming around itself should mark something significant. Once in a 23,000 year event, and the Great Year is 25,000 years. That's getting pretty close on the grander scale. But please remember, 4 of the Great Year cycles is 1 ice age cycle. Comet Swan looking good. Think about half a degree of arc for each of our full moons. This thing on the tail is stretching back 12 now moon. So we're looking at a good 6 degrees in the sky of coverage from the tail on how the distance would be measured looking outward from our planet. Also, solar storms set to batter Earth, sparking blackouts, northern lights as NASA warns the sun is waking up. Wait, this is September 17th, 2025. The sun's going down off of its solar maximum phase into solar minimum, unless they know that comets are electric and that comets are going to generate solar activity. Think about it. Banks, billionaires, and countries are loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's how generational wealth is passed down. Don't wait until the headlines confirm what's already happening behind closed doors. It's time to protect what you've built. Noble Gold's precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. They make it simple to own investment grade gold or silver that you can put in your hands or into your retirement account. And for a limited time, offer silver bonus. 1 10-ounce silver flag bar plus 1 silver American Eagle proof coin for new qualified accounts, IRA, or cash purchases. That's 2030gold.com. And with half the world moving to a gold-backed currency, You have to wonder what's going to happen in the future. That's 2030gold.com, or click on that link in the description box below. Through the next 3 to say 6 months, as all these comets come through, 5 of them naked eye. This is significant. A lot of the electrical interaction here is going to be, well, I think it is a chance to prove that we're in an electrical dynamic of space, our atmosphere, the sun, and our planet connected together. But then again, that leads to free power. And looking back in history, we start to see lightning bolts. What is it about electricity, electrical changes, things that can be harnessed and used? Lithographs from the 1500s show some sort of energy emanating from what would be the creation, the creator itself. The aristocracy harnessing the same power. Mythical creatures side by side. And we find it all through antiquity as well. If you're over in India, you find it. And then also the Anunnaki being defeated by this same lightning or electrical source, the thunderbolts from the gods, for a better term, centrifugal forces. And we start to look at Schauberger principles in an electric form versus liquids, which brings us right into spiral galaxies. So, this thing moving up, and what we're seeing, the combination of galaxies, doesn't matter where you look, far or near, they follow these same vortices principles on formation. Well, that would be electric current, magnetic field, electric field, intertwining field aligned currents, that looping, intertwining, interwovenness of both to create, well, that electrical space around us. And somehow NASA's coming out going, we're going to get a lot more of that electrical activity. So what is it with the comets? Now, each time I encourage you, every time a comet comes in, especially NASA will delete an enormous amount. You get 8 hours of missing frames or something. But anyway, watch every time a comet will come in, we'll see some sort of CME on the opposite side of the sun. So what's interesting is with Swan, that's already coming around, but the 3-eye Atlas is going to go directly behind the sun, right at the ecliptic, right as soon as we're on the other side of it. You got to wonder what it might cause to erupt off the sun. And then if we can see these causations, then we can start to look at Nikola Tesla devices and see things that were buried in history that were running on the same magnetic field, electric current principles of the millivolt charge in our air. That's all around us in the atmosphere, and see how we were forced to burn something to spin something on a spindle or a rotor when we could have used magnetic field to do the same thing. You don't have to burn a thing. It's wherever you are, there's a magnetic field. Magnets spin in opposite directions or push. And again, we found Schauberger principles again. What do we see? The jet engines. It's all about the vortice moving that creates power as it's stepped down, that creates more force on the backside. Okay, little off tangent there. This is Greenland. William Middlecook taking a trip, sending these images out here. Beautiful. And then take a look at the low ice coming off Greenland here for the summer. Anytime you can see something from the air with the glaciers, those fjords and the deep canyons cut just straight by ice. Incredible how powerful the planet is. And then on the inverse side, we take a look at the drought in Europe and the Mediterranean. Now think about the crop growing zones in these areas. But soil moisture deficit is another way to say drought. Anywhere you see orange or going into the reds on this map, not so good for crop yields. Red is, you're going to be getting about a 10% decline. So then you start to look and go, France. Okay, and then we got on Slovakia, Slovenia, and the whole eastern area there. When you come down to Poland all the way down through Bulgaria, there's a lot of crops grown in these areas here, especially when you get toward the Black Sea and in between in the Caspian Sea. When you get over in the Republic of Georgia, all drought right in there. And then you can see the southern edges of Russia along the Black Sea there too. Drought, everywhere drought. 10% declines on the drought. And at the same time, all these things were happening, denting into food production. What do we get? English farms could be taken out of food production to boost nature. So we got all these natural things that are reducing food production. Yet at the same time, we as the humans are going to reduce food production for humans. Perhaps they are not in the mind. You have to be a very special kind of person to reduce food production in skyrocketing prices and do that on purpose to cause higher prices for the food or less availability for the food for your own species. That's a weird one. Think about it for a second. You got to be a special person to be able to do that. And the dollar, you can't go really too far without putting all these together because they overlap in history. Economy, food production, population, or population migration. They all go together as a set/subset every single time we go through a cycle of declining food production. Now, we're looking at a debased currency here, and they're going to print more. Obviously, they're trying to do with this Genius Act to get stable coins across the planet to have the planet absolve our debt, absorb it, and take the loss as they inflate away. But as you can see, in January, your $1 right now buys you 10% less than it did at the beginning of the year. Now, that's not hyperinflation, but what do you call that? Because it happened again last year at 12%. So if you look back just a few years, we've lost 25% almost of our purchasing power off of the dollar in 2 years. The 25%, that's a huge number. And then if it goes to 50 and then 100%, what's going to happen? They're going to keep printing more. But the thing is, when you look out at the global money supply, it's reached an all-time high. Every country on the entire planet is printing at the same exact time. So what's going on? That they all understand they need to print into infinitum to complete a task using fiat money to purchase goods, materials, labor, and get everything ready for some event in the future. I mean, it is go for broke, literally, because no country is going to pay back their debt. When this event occurs, it'll be a reset of complete financial reset at the minimum. Then what? Well, we'll start over. We'll have a new economy, something with assets and gold and this sort of thing. Oh, we got digital. Luckily, it was all stored in the cloud and it was under some mountain somewhere. So we can start the thing again with digital currency, CBDCs, fiat, stable coins, whatever. It'll all be kind of just pushed back out again. Everything will start from fresh from zero. But you can't tell me all these things are happening in unison and all these money printing things are going on across the planet. And then suddenly, I'll leave you with the last quote here from Alex, one of my go-to guys to get my brain in the right place. The single greatest skill you can develop is the ability to stay in a great mood in the absence of things to be in a great mood about. Meaning, as the world starts to deconstruct in front of you, be grateful that you're able to witness it and participate in it. Again, you can always find something that you're thankful or grateful for. If you can't, then you're not looking hard enough. I'm so grateful for this fresh breath of air that's not polluted. Something as simple as that. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Support independent journalism, Monero and Pirate Chain. Those deposit addresses are in the description box below. And Enzorb. When was the last time you could trust your gut? Victory Nutrition International. Click on that link in the description box below, vni.life/civilization. Please share with your friends, family, click that subscribe button, hit the bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.